Just as things start to go well, there has to be something, doesn't there? There always has to be something. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And like I said, man, things were going so well, but we've gone and got ourselves a fairly annoying injury, haven't we? Levi Colwill has, in the last couple of days, pulled up with some sort of injury, and there are growing fears that he might miss the first game of the season. And centre-backs isn't exactly something that we've been going in heavy on the market. It's all been attack. Do you know what I mean? With João Pedro, Liam Delap, and we're looking at Garnacho and Xavi Simons, and we're bringing Estevao in, and it's all about bolstering that front line. But the attack was pretty good last season anyway, do you know what I mean? Is where we've been suspect is conceding goals against teams that we shouldn't be, and we needed to strengthen that centre-back position. Dizassi's on his way out. Benoit Badiashile is just, I don't know, man. Maybe he's just happy to play back up at this point. Trevor Chalobah, I think, is staying. I absolutely hope Trevor Chalobah is staying. But Levi Colwill has been the standout centre-back performer for us for the last couple of seasons now. And yes, it is very irritating that we might be without him for the start of the season. And the other question this raises is, what's going to happen? Are we going to launch ourselves into the market now for a centre-back because we're desperate, and then we're going to get the desperation tax where everyone's like, you need a left-footed centre-back, do you? We've got one, but that's an extra 50% on the price just because. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's one of them as well, isn't it? Left-footed centre-backs aren't exactly super easy to come across in general. Levi Colwill was definitely a bit of a unicorn in that respect, that we actually produced him through our academy. He went off and had a wicked season at Brighton, and everyone was in for him, man. I remember Liverpool were willing to pay big money for him at some point, and we essentially convinced him that you'll get game time, your development is best here. He signed the deal, and it was all wicked. But it looks like, again, we will be cobbling together some sort of duct-taped centre-back line for the openers of the season, because Levi Colwill, well, do you know what I mean? This is all I've seen. So Maresca said it in his press conference, right? He's like, they're a bit worried. There's nothing that's actually come out and said, oh my God, he's going to be missing for this. Do you know what I mean? Maybe things could be okay, but we know our luck with injuries, man. Lavia we got for 60 mil, and he spent almost the entire season injured. Reece James is potentially one of the best right backs in the world, and it's so difficult to keep him fit for an entire season. I don't know what's going on at Chelsea, man. Do you know, it probably is karma for when, I can't remember her name, but Mourinho had that falling out with one of our doctors, didn't he? When she came on the pitch to treat Hazard, and Mourinho didn't want her to, and Eva something. She was wicked as well, man. Do you know what I mean? And maybe she left us with a curse when Mourinho kicked off at her and she left, because our injury troubles have been almost Arsenal-like for the last couple of seasons, haven't they? But what can you do? It is just something that we are going to have to look at. We do actually have lots of centre-backs. The issue isn't, is there enough centre-backs? The issue is purely, are any of them good enough to go into our team? And those opening few games in the season are so important to help build momentum. Do you know what I mean? But I guess we can juxtapose that with some sort of good news in that Wesley Fofana has been seen training with the team. So the word is he's not going to be ready to start until maybe after the beginning of the season, maybe the Crystal Palace game. But maybe that's why they haven't really gone in on centre-backs, do you know what I mean? If they can do with Fofana kind of what they've done with Reece James and ease him back in, we do have lots of support, the likes of Chalobah and Tosin Adarabioyo. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan is for Wesley Fofana, because, we spent serious cash on him, man. It was nearly 80 mil, wasn't it? Not quite. I remember that whole thing, because we didn't spend 80 mil on him. And I remember seeing something was like, we don't want to spend the same amount on him that Man U spent on Harry Maguire, which is just jokes in itself. And if you want the guy, just get him, man. But yeah, we spent a super serious wedge on Wesley Fofana. I imagine if there were any add-ons included in that deal, he probably hasn't met many of them because he hasn't been able to spend a huge amount of time on the pitch. But when Wesley Fofana plays, he is wicked. I remember the Pochettino season, that was, his kind of first proper season with us. There was a stat halfway through the season, just about when he got injured, that showed games that Fofana played with Chelsea versus games that Fofana didn't play with Chelsea. And it was the win rate was crazy when he was with us, and we were always losing when he wasn't in. So there's obviously a lot of belief in him and his ability. So it might just be one of those things, kind of like they're doing with the goalkeeper situation, do you know what I mean? Where we're just going to try and muddle through and hope things work out for the best. But there is still a little bit of time left in the window, so depending on how serious it is, we may well see ourselves dip back into the market. Right, so let's talk about Nicholas Jackson, because everyone's talking about Nicholas Jackson at the moment. It seems to be that time. So I have said a couple of times, I think Nicholas Jackson is linked to ultimately the Benjamin Sesko thing, right? And as of yesterday, Benjamin Sesko has said, I want United. So he's chosen United. That's a whole other conversation to have, by the way. I feel so bad for Newcastle. Like, they are going in for, I mean, they lost 2 of them to us in Delap and João Pedro, but they are going in for all of these players. They've got Champions League. They've got a wicked manager. They've got, at the moment, one of the best strikers in the world. And people are just not up for it, man. People are just not up for it. If you know anything, if you happen to be a Newcastle fan or you're really good friends with one, how are Newcastle fans feeling about what's going on at the moment? I just, like, I don't understand it, man. United finished 15th. Literally, United finished 15th. And I see people like Rory Jennings, you know, he was on TalkSport talking about it, and he was kind of like, oh, yeah, well, you've got to choose United over Newcastle, haven't you? And I'm like, well, not necessarily. Do you know what I mean? Do we choose the team that's getting in the Champions League and has clearly been on an upwards trajectory for the last few years? Or do we choose Man United, who have taken another gamble on another different manager with another different style of football? Do you know what I mean? And the question is always, well, not the question, the thing that Rory Jennings says in particular is always, yeah, and I've this isn't isolated either. I've seen him say this a few times with a few different players when they've bought strikers and this and that and the other, and it's, yeah, but who wouldn't want to be the man that brings United back to greatness? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that's a tall order, man. Do you know what I mean? If you're a footballer and you're like, right, I want the next few years in my career to be really good, and what are you looking at? Are you looking at, maybe I could be bringing Man United back to greatness and that will stamp me in football's history forever? What is the chance of that compared to, I'll play in the Champions League with Newcastle next season, have another good run at getting some sort of European football and help carry on their obvious trajectory that they've been on, whereas Man United has categorically literally been going down. Sorry, that was a bit of a total separate rant, but I don't get it, man. The mind boggles. But yeah, Jackson, anyway, that's actually who we're talking about, isn't it? Jackson. So Nicholas Jackson is in the sights of Newcastle. And again, I don't really know what's going on with the Isaac thing now, because Liverpool are looking at Bradley Barcola and, up to 100 million euros. That's a serious wedge. There's been contradicting reports saying that, no, Liverpool are backing off the Isaac thing. And there's, I think Fabrizio Romano came out and said, no, they're always planning to make another bid. So are they like going in for another striker because they think Isaac's going to leave, or do they want to play 2 together? Or I don't know. But either way, Nicholas Jackson seems like, I say, like a smart move for them. It's not like they've got a huge amount of choice. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to do another Who's the Better Baller soon between all of the Chelsea strikers, including Jackson, to see, if we do lose him, how the new guys are going to stack up against him. But I think Newcastle could definitely do worse than Nicholas Jackson. I think if you've got the choice between Nicholas Jackson and Ollie Watkins is such a short-term thing, do you know what I mean? Because Nicholas Jackson is 23, he's getting good numbers in the Premier League, and he could potentially get better if he's managed the right way. Ollie Watkins has kind of hit his peak a little bit, do you know what I mean? It's like, what the best you can expect from Ollie Watkins is in a season, don't get me wrong, but considering you're probably going to spend somewhere around the same kind of money, Jackson just seems to be a better option, doesn't he? The writing's just been on the wall for Jackson for a while, man. It's a sad one, but it's just been like that, hasn't it? At the end of the day, there would be some sort of poetic irony as well, isn't it? Because obviously Jackson got sent off against Newcastle at the back end of last season when we desperately needed him, and got that 3-game ban because it was a straight red card, and that means he's going to miss, I think he's already served 2 games, so I think he's going to miss the first game of next season. If he was at Newcastle and he misses their first game because he got sent off against them, do you know what I mean? I just think that'd be funny, man. That'd be funny. So Enzo Maresca, up until recently, has not really engaged in the whole Jackson's getting sold thing. He's always been like, no, I like Jackson. He's a very good player, can do this, do that, do the other, whatever. But in the press conference, he is literally like, anything can happen. So even Maresca now is like, yeah, man, they never say, do they? Like, there's a whole language that managers have trying to dodge questions. But at the end of the day, he hasn't come out and staunchly said, no, Jackson is my number 9, like he did at the start of last season. Do you know what I mean? He's got 2 other options, really good options, in João Pedro and Liam Delap now. And just those red cards, man. Do you know what I mean? Just those red cards. I don't know if Jackson did it on purpose because he wanted to get sold or whatever, but yeah, it just seems to be all of the stars are aligning for a Jackson move, and because Newcastle are missing out on Ben Sesko, which still blows my mind, man. I don't get that one at all. Jackson would be a reasonable option for them to go in. So there is some Xavi Simons news. It's not really news. It's more like a speculative theory that is arranging from other news that is coming out, right? So Red Bull Leipzig have announced their interest in Liverpool's Harvey Elliott. And what that would maybe tell you is that they are looking for someone to fill that Xavi Simons-shaped hole. Xavi Simons, I can't remember where it was, but I saw like yesterday that Xavi Simons has said, no, I'm not playing for Leipzig ever again. Probably seems like he's really, really pushing for the Chelsea move. I'm not sure what the hold-up is. But with Leipzig looking at players to kind of instantly replace that kind of place in their system, maybe that is another indication that we're going to hear something about Xavi Simons soon. Starting to worry a little bit about that attitude thing, though. Do you know what I mean? It's we had a whole chat about attitude on the Blue Lounge stream I did on Sunday, and it's just a weird one, man. I generally don't buy into the whole, he did this on social media and he did that, but he is doing stuff. I'll try and be a bit more succinct with it. What I think is going to happen is Xavi Simons is a mercenary, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think Xavi Simons is in it for Xavi Simons. I don't think he really cares about Chelsea as a club. He just sees it as a better opportunity. Do you know what I mean? And I know loyalty is not really a thing in football. I don't necessarily believe that it means nearly as much as it used to. But there are some things, like, for instance, we spent ages negotiating with Moises Caicedo and Brighton, right? And then out of absolutely nowhere, Liverpool come in and go, bam, same bid, matched. We've got better prospects than them. Come and join us instead. And Caicedo was like, no, I've been negotiating with them for that time. So it wasn't necessarily about loyalty to Chelsea, do you know what I mean? But it was like, you know, it was, if he was just a complete mercenary, he'd have just been like, yeah, cool, I'm off to Liverpool. And I feel like in that exact same situation, Xavi Simons would 100% have been like, yeah, mate, I'm going to Liverpool. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he turns into a cult hero. Maybe we don't even sign him. Do you know what I mean? At this point, who knows what's going on? But yeah, I am just starting to worry a little bit about, I don't know, man. It's like even Cole Palmer, do you know what I mean? Cole Palmer isn't necessarily loyal to Chelsea, but the type of player that he is, and he's been quite honest and open about this, he wants to commit to a club long term. Xavi Simons, from the age of 16, has moved from the Barca Academy to PSG, to a loan on Eindhoven, to then back to PSG, to then loan at Red Bull Leipzig for a year and a half, to then be bought by Red Bull Leipzig 6 months ago, and is now massively agitating for this move to Chelsea. So it's just one of those, isn't it? If he comes in and has a half-decent season with us, and a Real Madrid or someone that he really favours, a Bayern Munich or someone like that comes in, he'll just be like, yeah, mate, I want to go. So, tough one, man. Tough one. But, you know, at the end of the day, he does look like a good player. I do like the idea of that dual number 10 thing, do you know what I mean, that we seem to be looking to do. And Xavi Simons looks like a wicked fit for that role. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens, won't we? So, Alejandro Garnacho, there is, again, speculative news, this and that and the other. There's so much fluff going on with the transfer news at the moment, man. It's a bit annoying. I guess we just live in a different world now where, like myself, people are always looking for something to report on. So the other thing about that is, you know, you get lots more kind of fluff stories than your real juicy tidbits. But supposedly Chelsea have opened talks with Man United about Alejandro Garnacho, and they're not going particularly well if the news is to be believed. Apparently United are looking for somewhere in the realm of £50 million for Alejandro Garnacho, and Chelsea are like, nah, mate. Nah, we don't want to pay 50 mil for Garnacho. I'm pretty sure that's what they tried to sell him to us before, and we were like, nah, we're not. When that was even then. And you got to think United are under a little bit more pressure to sell now because of this Benjamin Sesko deal, right? I think it's like £75 million with add-ons and stuff going all the way up to like £80 million. So they're, you know, just about to make some massive layout, and they're going to need to get some of that back. Garnacho is an easy profit option because he is an academy player. So whatever they sell him for will go straight on their books. If we pay anything more than 40 mil for him, then that's just, we're getting robbed, man. Do you know what I mean? We're getting robbed. But at the end of the day, I think Chelsea will hold firm. I don't think they'll necessarily break to United because we're so desperate to have him. I think the crux of the deal from Chelsea's perspective is we are really interested in Garnacho if we can get him for a steal. And yeah, I'm totally up for that because I've sort of talked about it a little bit before. I think the thing with Garnacho is it will end up being like a João Felix thing. I think he will come in and get opportunities, and if he flatters to deceive, we will probably quite quickly move him on. And we're awesome negotiators, so we'll at least make the money back that we pay for him. But if we buy him for 50 mil, that's a lot less likely, isn't it? So there is some other interesting tidbits flying around as well. Apparently, Tottenham are interested in hijacking the deal for Alejandro Garnacho. Is it really a hijack if your entire fan base is quite nonplussed about it? Do you know what I mean? I don't think, you know, I'll tell you what, I spoke to Blue Clouds Media on that stream, and he's really, really keen for Garnacho. Do you know what I mean? And fair play, like he sees a real talent there, and there's absolutely talent there. But I think the fan base in general, from what I'm getting, especially from some of you guys in the comments and stuff as well, is we can kind of take or leave Alejandro Garnacho. Speaking of comments, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. But yeah, supposedly Spurs want to hijack him. Like, I wouldn't really be too bothered, to be honest. It wouldn't be like when we hijacked Willian from them, do you know what I mean? Because they really wanted Willian, and he obviously ended up being a bit of a cult hero for us. And supposedly Villa are still maintaining some interest in Alejandro Garnacho as well. So I think he wants to come to Chelsea. It could even end up being a little bit like the Sesko United Newcastle nonsense that's going on at the moment, couldn't it? It could be we offer the same money but in a structured deal that kind of suits us a little bit better. Someone like Villa or Tottenham come in with a better deal, but he's like, nope, not interested, just want to go to Chelsea. And maybe he goes to one of those two clubs if we just can't agree a fee with Man United. But whatever, man, I've just kind of accepted that it's going to happen now. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool, Garnacho's probably going to join. And to be honest, as far as the winger situation goes, I actually did a Who's the Better Baller episode about Jamie Gittins, Alejandro Garnacho and Jadon Sancho for us last year. And Jamie Gittins has by far and away got the best stats out of all three of those players. So if Garnacho comes in, he's probably, considering that Jamie Gittins can transfer that form, Jamie Gittins looks like a much more Maresca type winger than Garnacho does. They've both definitely got some of the basic foundational traits that Maresca looks for in a winger, but I would argue that Jamie Gittins looks like he has them in droves compared to Garnacho. Go and check that video out if you haven't already. I'm going to try and do one of these every week, depending on what happens. And I'm just going to wrap up today's video with a little bit of news about Estevao Willian. And it's not really news, it's just kind of what Maresca said in the press conference about him. We are all really, really, really excited to see Estevao Willian play. What I don't think, and I've maintained this way back 9 weeks ago when I started my YouTube channel, I maintain that I do not think we are just going to see him get thrown into the team straight away. I think we didn't with Cole Palmer either. Do you know what I mean? Cole Palmer didn't just come in and get thrown into the team. There was a lot less hype for Palmer than there is for Estevao. And I think we need to protect him from that hype, right? Because the issue is, because he's so young, if he comes in and doesn't hit the ground running but gets played in all these games, we're just going to be like, what's going on? This guy's rubbish. Because that's just what football fans are like, man. Do you know what I mean? We're so hot and cold and we 0 to 100 with how we feel about stuff. I think what will happen is we will see Estevao get some substitute appearances and maybe some cup games, and he will have to build his way into the team. Because you've got to remember, he's probably going to play on the right because, Cole Palmer's going to be in the middle. And, if we get Xavi Simons, which is looking likely, he's obviously going to be a central attacking midfielder as well. So for the most part, I do highly expect to see Estevao Willian feature on the right. And Neto is looking wicked, man. We can't just forget about Neto. He had such a good season last season. He scored 3 goals in the Club World Cup for us, which ultimately helped us get to that final. And he's a consummate professional and he's a really, really good player. Do you know what I mean? He might not have the flair or the magic or even the potential of someone like an Estevao Willian, but I'm really comfortable going into the season with Neto at right wing and giving Estevao the opportunity to build his way into the team rather than just grabbing an 18-year-old off the streets of Brazil and then throwing him into a Premier League London team and being like, go on, kid, go and do it. Do you know what I mean? That's probably just not going to work. So I personally am actually really comfortable with the idea of going into the season with Neto being our primary right winger and giving Estevao Willian opportunities to fight his way into the team. And Maresca has told us just to be patient, right? He's like, and it totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. I think hype is such a dangerous thing at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong. I'm super excited, man. I saw that goal he scored against us in the Club World Cup. I've watched a load of highlight reels from him. I've read all about his stats and how he's the best young player to come out of Brazil since Neymar. Do you know what I mean? It's like having that kind of potential on your books is really exciting. And I am like, the hype is there. I'm just trying to squeeze it down so I don't get overexcited. But yeah, man, it will be what it will be. And like I say, for me, I just think that Neto is going to start the season strong. He's already got really good chemistry with Cole Palmer and Reece James and a lot of the guys that he spends a lot of time playing with. So it would be a silly idea just to throw Estevao Willian in straight away and kind of bench Neto just for the hype. And that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap the video up there today. Thanks very much for sticking around to the end. If you did, I will keep my ear to the ground for more Chelsea news as ever. I hope you guys are having a wicked day and I will catch up with you very, very soon. Peace.